use that news for information.
kumenya ko Yesu yishyizeho intimba zacu,
To know that Jesus put upon himself our grief.
kumenya ko Yesu yishyizemo imibabaro yacu,
To know that he took upon our sorrows.
ariko ugakomeza ukayigendana,
And then you keep moving with that sorrow.
bikubwira ko utabisobanukiwe.
It means you didn't understand.
Kandi iyo nitegereje abantu benshi,
And if I see so many people
aya
around,
magambo aba muri Bibiliya,
these words are in the Bible.
ndetse si ubwa mbere muyumva,
It's not even the first time you've heard it.
ariko wampa igipimo gipima,
But if we get a parameter
nkareba abagendana imitima ikomeretse,
and we see people moving around with broken hearts,
nkapima abagendana imitima ishaririye,
and I also see those that have bitter hearts,
aho Satani abera akaga rero,
the trouble of Satan,
aho abera kabutindi,
where his trouble,
nuko aza akakubwira ati ariko ubundi
he comes and tells you, by the way,
n'Imana igomba kubyumva ko uri umuntu.
God should know that you're human.
Ubwo uri umuntu,
If you are human,
birumvikana yuko ugomba kubaho urakaye,
it is understandable that you get annoyed.
birumvikana ko ugomba kubaho ukomeretse.
It is understandable that you are there and you are hurt.
Noneho ukabona abakristo barashaririye,
And then there are those Christians that are hurting.
erega turasharira,
We are bitter.
n'abapastori turasharira,
Even pastors are bitter.
n'ababishopu barasharira,
Even the bishops are bitter.
n'abapotre barasharira.
Even apostles are bitter.
Kubera iki?
Why?
Twese dufite imitima ikomereka.
We all have those hearts that are hurt.
Ibanga ryo kugira ubukristo bufite imbaraga
The secret of being a strong Christian
si ukugira PhD,
is not to have a PhD.
ni ukumaniriwe PhD
Is to manage that PhD
ikinjira mu mutima,
and it enters your heart
igahinduka imibereho.
and it becomes a daily living.
Ariko ibyo si byo ndimo kwigisha uyu mugoroba,
That's not what I'm teaching
gusa
today.
ndagira ngo mubigarure ku mutima ukomeretse,
I want to come back to that broken heart today.
kuko ni ikintu kitubaho buri munsi.
It is something that happens to us on a daily.
Hari abana bakomerekejwe n'ababyeyi,
There are kids that were hurt by their parents.
hari ababyeyi bakomerekejwe
There
n'abana,
are parents that hurt their kids.
hari abagabo bakomerekejwe
There
n'abagore,
are husbands that were hurt by their wives.
hari abagore bakomerekejwe
There
n'abagabo,
are wives that were hurt by their husbands.
hari abakozi bakomerekejwe
There are
n'abakoresha,
servants that were hurt by their masters.
hari abaturanyi bakomerekejwe
There
n'abaturage.
are neighbors that were hurt by their neighbors.
Twagera mu Rwanda,
And then we come to Rwanda.
hari abatutsi bakomerekejwe
There are
n'abahutu,
Tutsis that were hurt by
hari
Hutus.
n'abahutu bakomerekejwe n'abatutsi.
And there are Hutus that were hurt by Tutsis.
Twese turateranya
We are all meeting here today.
dukomeretsa abatwa.
We always hurt those people.
Twakomerekeje abatwa.
We hurt the Twas.
Abantu bashobora kuvuga ngo twebwe abatwa si twabagize dute?
What did we do to the Twas?
Twarabibakoze.
We did that to them.
Kuva ku ngoma y'abami,
From the regimes of the kings,
nimwitegereze.
if you analyze,
Hari igitabo ndimo kwandika
there is a book I am writing.
kinsaba gusoma amateka.
That calls me to look into the history of
No
Rwanda.
mu mateka rwose.
Even in the history,
Abatwa barakomeretswe.
the
Barakomeretse.
Twas were hurt.
Twiga muri primaire,
When we were studying in primary,
umwarimu watwigishaga
the teacher who was teaching us back then,
yatwigishije isomo
he taught us a module
ry'ibikomere.
about heart, being hurt.
Isomo oya ritera ibikomere. Isomo ritera ibikomere. A lesson that causes heart.
A lesson that causes hurt.
Araza mu ishuri aduhagurutsa.
He came to class and made us stand up.
Ibyo twari tubimenyereye.
We were so used to that.
Abizi no mu gihe cya kera barabizi.
Those who studied back then know these things.
Ati abahutu muhaguruke.
He would say that the Hutus stand up.
Bari nka 50.
They were like 50.
Barahaguruka.
They stood up.
Abatutsi muhaguruke.
Tutsis also stand up.
Turahaguruka.
We stood up.
Habane.
Like 4 of us.
Abatwa muhaguruke.
And Twas also stand up.
Umwana umwe.
Only one Twas stood up.
Umutwakazi.
She was a lady.
N'ubu ndamwibuka.
I still remember her.
N'izina rye.
Even the name.
Turicara.
We sat.
Arangije ati ninde utasangira n'umutwa?
And then he said, who cannot share a meal with the Twa?
Babahutu n'abatutsi twese turahaguruka.
All the Hutus and Tutsis stood up.
Hasigara umwana umwe yicaye.
As soon as that Twa who stayed sitting,
Wa mutwakazi.
that girl from whose tour.
aragenda azana inkoni.
And he went and brought a stick.
Icyo gihe bari bagikubita abana, ubu nta mwana ugikubitwa.
At that time they would still punish kids, cane them, but they no longer do that.
Uwumva atasangira n'umutwe,
Whoever hears they cannot share a meal with the tour,
ndamukubita inkoni 5.
I will cane them 5.
Abumva batasangira n'umutwe,
Those that feel they cannot share a meal with the tour.
turongera turahaguruka.
And then they stood up again.
Inkoni 5.
5 canes.
Buri mwana
Every child.
dusubira kwicara.
They sat.
Arongera.
He continued.
Ninde utasangira n'umutwe?
Who cannot share a meal with the tour?
Turongera turahaguruka.
They stood up again.
Wa mwana w'umutwakazi
The other tour girl,
arahaguruka,
she stood up.
ava mu ishuri,
She got out of the class.
ntiyagarutse.
She never came back to school.
Twakomerekeje abatwa.
You will really hurt the
Ariko
child.
kubera ko batagize uruhare rufatika muri genocide yakorewe abatutsi,
Because they didn't have any role in the genocide against Tutsi,
nigeze kwigisha abapastori.
I used to teach pastors.
One time I was teaching pastors.
One time I was teaching pastors.
Ndababwira nti muramutse mufite abatwa,
And I asked them, if you had tours,
twari tugikora bya bindi by'igaburo ryera ku gikombe kimwe.
sorry?
We were still doing Holy Communion using
We
one
were
cup.
still sharing Holy Communion from one cup.
Ndababwira nti mufitemo nk'umutwa mwabigenza mute?
If you had a tour in your congregation, what would you do?
Pastor umwe arambwira
The one pastor said,
ati umugisha tugira,
the opportunity we have,
a blessing,
the blessing we have,
uko nta mutwa n'umwe uhari.
we do not have any tour.
Byatubera ikibazo.
It would be a problem.
Ese igihe Imana yadutumaga ku bantu,
God would send us to people,
abatwa bo ntibakeneye ijuru.
but it looks like tours don't need God.
Ariko ibyo ngibyo ni ukubereka uburyo abantu bakomereka.
Those are ways in which people are hurt.
Noneho nigarukira inyuma.
Let me come back to our topic.
Iyo tuvuga ngo yishyizeho intimba zacu,
If we say that he took our grief
yishyiraho imibabaro yacu,
and he took our sorrows upon himself,
umva uburyo yabigenjeje. Murongo wa 13 wo muri Yesaya 52.
Isaiah 52 verse 13.
Dore umugaragu wanjye azakora iby'ubwenge asumba abandi, azashyirwa hejuru akomere cyane.
See, my servant will act wisely, he will be raised and lifted up and highly exalted.
Nk'uko benshi bamutangariraga kuko mu maso he hononekaye ntihase naho umuntu, n'ishusho ye yononekaye ntise n'iy'abana b'abantu. Uko niko azaminjagira amahanga menshi, abami bazumirirwa imbere ye, kuko bazabona icyo batabwiwe n'icyo batumvise bazakimenya.
Just as there were many who were appalled at him, his appearance was so disfigured beyond that of any human being, and his form marred beyond human likeness. So he will sprinkle many nations, and kings will shut their mouth because of him. For what they were not told, they will see, and what they have not heard, they will understand.
Ninde wizeye ibyo twumvise kandi ukuboko k'Uwiteka kwahishuriwe nde? 53 umurongo wa mbere.
Who has believed our message, and to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed?
Kuko yakuriye imbere ye nk'ikigejigeji, nk'igishyitsi cyumburiye mu butaka bwumye, ntiyari afite ishusho nziza cyangwa igikundiro, kandi ubwo twamubonaga ntiyari afite ubwiza bwatuma tumwifuza.
He grew up before him like a tender shoot, and like a root out of dry ground. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him.
Yarasuzugurwa akangwa n'abantu, yari umunyamibabaro wamenyereye intimba, yasuzugurwaga nk'umuntu abandi bima amaso, natwe ntitumwubahe.
He was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering and familiar with pain. Like one from whom people hide their faces, he was despised and he was held in low esteem.
Nukuri intimba zacu nizo yishyizeho, imibabaro yacu niyo yikoreye, ariko twebweho twamutekereje nk'uwakubiswe n'Imana agacumitwa nayo, agahitamishwa n'imibabaro.
Surely he took up our pains and bore our suffering, yet we considered him punished by God, stricken by him and afflicted.
kugira ngo ushobore kwegera Yesu ufite ibyiringiro bidashidikanya.
To really come closer to Jesus with hope that is unshakable,
nukuba warafashe umwanya ukamureba ajya ku musaraba.
it's because you got a moment and looked at him going to the cross.
Iyo witegereje Yesu bamujyana ku musaraba,
If you look closely at Jesus being taken to the cross,
byari byarahanuwe bitari byaba.
it was prophesied and it hadn't happened.
Yesaya bireba bikiri kure.
Isaiah saw this, he foretold it.
Aravuga ati uyu mugaragu w'Uwiteka
And he said that this servant of God,
azaba umuntu w'umunyamibabaro.
he will be a man of sorrow.
Aravuga ngo nkuko benshi bamutangarira ku maso he hononekaye ntihase naho umuntu.
Just like many looked at him,
Umurongo wa 14 muri 52. 14 muri 52.
it says that just as there were many who appalled at him, his appearance was so disfigured beyond that.
Nkuko benshi bamutangariraga ku maso he hononekaye ntihase naho umuntu, n'ishusho ye yononekaye ntise n'iy'abana b'abantu.
Just as there were many who appalled at him, his appearance was disfigured beyond that of any human being, and his form marred beyond human likeness.
Iyo ni isura ya Kristo.
That was the picture, that the face that Jesus
agakomeza
had.
muri 53.
And he continues in 53.
Ngo yakuriye imbere nk'igejegeje nk'igishyitsi cyumburira mu butaka bwumye, ntiyari afite ishusho nziza cyangwa igikundiro, kandi ubwo twamubonaga ntiyari afite ubwiza bwatuma tumwifuza.
He grew up before him like a tender shoot, and like a root out of dry ground. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him. Nothing in his appearance that we should desire him.
Uri ikintu gitangaje kuri Yesu.
What's amazing about Jesus?
Ni uburyo Yesu yicishije bugufi akaba umuntu.
It is interesting how he humbled himself and became
Pawulo
man.
yabyanditse neza.
He wrote it well.
Ngo nubwo yari Imana,
Even if he was God,
ntiyarebye ko kureshya n'Imana ari ikintu cyo kugundirwa.
he didn't look at being God as something that he would hold on to.
Ngo ahubwo yisiga ubusa.
But he decided to give himself,
Ngo afata ishusho y'umuntu.
and he got the image of man.
Ntiyanafata n'ishusho y'umuntu w'umunyacyubahiro.
He didn't even get an image of a very
Afata
prestigious.
ishusho y'umuntu w'imbata.
He just got a picture or a face of a slave.
Hano muri Yesaya bakatubwira ngo bamurebaga bose.
It says in Isaiah that whoever looked at him,
Ngo ntabwo bamwitayeho.
they didn't care about
Ngo yarasuzugurwaga akangwa n'abantu.
that he was disrespected and he was hated by people.
Ngo yari umunyamibabaro wamenyereye intimba.
That he was a man of suffering and he was familiar with pain.
Yasuzugurwaga nk'umuntu abandi bima amaso, natwe ntitumwubahe.
Like one from whom people hide their faces, he was despised and held in low esteem.
Niki cyatumye Yesu afata iyo sura?
What caused Jesus to take upon this face?
Ntabwo byari bimunaniye yuko avukira mu rugo rw'umwami.
It wasn't hard for him to be born in a palace.
Ariko yavukiye mu rugo rw'umutindi nyakujya.
He was born in a very poor homestead.
Ikikwereka ko Yosefu na Mariya bari abakene pe.
What shows you that Joseph and Mary were really very poor?
Umunsi Mariya yabyaye,
The day that Mary gave birth to Jesus,
babuze icumbi
they couldn't even get an
mu
inn.
marogi y'i Betelehemu.
They couldn't get an inn in Bethlehem.
Kubera ko hari abantu benshi bari barimo kujyaho kwiyandikisha.
There were so many people going to Bethlehem to register themselves for the census.
N'andi bakubwira ngo uri bwiyandikishe n'ufite ikofi.
They would say that whoever would register for the census is one who had money.
Ibyo kumbwira ngo umugore wagiye kubyara, that's not my business.
Those things of saying that your wife is going to give birth, it's not my business.
Njya ntekereza abakuru b'amarogi y'i Betelehemu.
I keep thinking about the managers of those lodges in
Aho
Bethlehem.
Yosefu yajyaga bakamubwira ati ariko twebwe hano ntabwo turi muri charity, ntabwo turi Caritas.
They would say that we are not a humanitarian organization, we are not into charity.
Hano turi muri business.
We are doing business.
Kashi zamenetse none wowe uratuzanaho ibintu by'amashyengo.
Bring money, we cannot do those things of charity.
Ariko za kubona umwe w'umugira neza.
And then he found one who was a good Samaritan.
aramubwira ati rega ati n'amazu baturamo ati ubu ngubu twashyizemo abapangayi ati cyakora mu kiraro cy'inka zanjye ushobora kukuboneramo umwanya.
This good Samaritan said that even our houses, we are already using them for lodging. Maybe I could get you space in the corral.
Yesu yavukiye mu kiraro cy'inka.
Jesus was born in a stable.
Kuko ntiyashoboraga kwafodinga irogi.
He couldn't afford an inn.
Uwo niwo muryango yahisemo kuvukiramo.
That is the family in which Jesus chose to
kugira ngo
be.
asogongere ubukene bw'abantu, umukene nazamwegera azamenye ngo uyu nshobora kumubwira kuko yabaye umukene.
So that he can test poverty, so that whoever is poor that can come to him, he can really tell and connect with him.
Yewe hari ikintu nabonye Imana ikora.
There is one thing I saw God does.
Iyi Imana yagucishije ahantu ukagira ubukene.
If God passed you through poverty,
ariko ntubinkirabuheri.
and then you don't continue with it.
Oya, inkirabuheri ni wa muntu ukira akibagirwa ko yigeze gukena.
It is that person who gets rich and never remembers that they were once poor.
Mujye mwihangana ikinyarwanda cyanjye n'icyo mu cyaro kijya kigora abantu benshi. Muntu w'inkirabuheri.
That person who always forgets.
Umara gukira akibagirwa aho yavutse.
They get rich and they forget where they came from.
Umara gukira akibagirwa uko abakene babaho.
He forgets how the poor live.
Yanababona baje we.
And after those poor coming to his home, he's like, what does this? They have brought bed bugs here. The reason why Jesus was born in a very poor state it was for the reason that he would connect with the poor if they came to him. When I just come to Remera, I was coming from AEE. We used to sponsor many orphans in school. The money wasn't mine, but I loved orphans. And if you love orphans, you are not the one who killed their parents. God gives you money to take care of them. God said that I am the father of orphans and widows. When I came to Remera, there were many kids here. I won't mention the names. I asked them, do you really go to school? That no. What's the matter? There is no money. And you're singing in the choir. Even the church failed to sponsor you. And the people are saying, those things you're bringing here, what are those? But the parish doesn't have money. And then I asked them the offertory that we normally give on Sunday. There is a time when I was also an orphan. There is a time I didn't have money. If you ever lacked something, it is easy to connect with someone who's in the same state. That's why they say that God first tested all our grief. That he was despised by people. He was a man of sorrow and pain. And that's how it was. Because Jesus, he was born in a poor family. Have you ever seen a place where they don't have a heart for even a pregnant lady who's about to deliver? Herod, after knowing that the King Jesus is going to be born, he sent people to spy and to find out where that king will be born. A person who even hates a very little child, a toddler.
bahungira muri Egiputa
They then went to Egypt.
kuko Yesu yagombaga kuzamenya n'agahinda k'impunzi
Because God had to come with that pain and sorrow.
nawe ab'impunzi
No one saved them.
ab'impunzi
He went into exile.
aba muri Egiputa
He went in Egypt.
kandi burya umukiriya yabaye impunzi biramworohera kubaho.
When a rich man becomes a refugee, it's easier for them to survive.
ariko umukene wabaye impunzi
But a poor who becomes a refugee,
ajya mahama.
he eats that.
Oya mahama ni ahantu ajya mahama. Mahama ni ahantu haba impunzi nyinshi hariya muri za
Oh, he goes to places like Mahama in Ichirehe. Yes.
ntabwo abakene bafata ikarita z'impunzi ngo bikodeshereze hano mu mujyi.
The refugees cannot come in the city like Kigali and rent for themselves.
bajya mahama.
They go to Mahama camp.
Yesu yabaye mu nkambi y'impunzi.
Jesus became a refugee.
ashobora kumva umutima w'impunzi.
He can hear the voice of a refugee.
bagarutse i Nazareti.
When they came back to Nazareth,
Yosefu yari umubaji.
Joseph was a carpenter.
mpamya yuko kugeza igihe Yesu yatangiriye umurimo w'Imana.
Imagine by the time Jesus started the work of God,
kuko bigaragara yuko Yosefu ataragihari.
I don't think Joseph was still around.
nta hantu twongera duheruka Yosefu Yesu afite imyaka 12.
We only see Joseph when Jesus was 12 years old.
hagati yaho n'igihe yatangiriye umurimo ku myaka 30 ntabwo tubona Yosefu.
Between 12 and 33 years, we don't see Joseph anywhere in the
igihe
picture.
Yesu yakoraga umurimo nyuma y'imyaka 30 nta Yosefu bavuga.
Even after that, we don't see Joseph at all.
sipoza ko hagati aho Yosefu yari yarapfuye.
I have a feeling that after that time, Joseph was gone.
Yesu yabaye imfubyi
Jesus became an orphan
yo mu muryango w'abakene.
from a poor family.
urumva ibyo ndimo kubumvisha no kugira ngo mwumve impamvu ashobora gutabara.
The reason I'm saying this, I want you to understand why he's
iyo
able
bavuze
to
ngo
rescue.
yishyizeho intimba zacu,
He took our grief.
ngo yishyizeho imibabaro yacu,
He took our sorrow.
ni ukuvuga ngo ibyo tubabazwa byose
That whatever we are suffering from as pain,
yarabisogongeye.
he already tasted.
atangiye gukora umurimo
And when he started his ministry,
yakoraga neza pe.
he did his ministry so well.
yagaburiye abashonje,
He would actually give food to
yakijije abari
the hungry.
barwaye,
He would heal the sick.
yahumuye amaso y'abari
He would
bahumye,
open the eyes for the blind.
yazuye n'abapfuye,
He even resurrected the dead.
yaranabasengeye,
He even prayed.
yaranabigishije,
He even taught them.
ariko baramwanga.
But they hated him.
Kose munyangire iki?
And he was like, why do you hate me?
mundwaniriza iki?
Why are you fighting me?
niba mutanyemera,
If you don't really love me,
nibura nimwemera imirimo nkora.
maybe just love the work I do for you.
bakarushaho kumwanga
And then they would hate him the more.
kugeza aho bamufashe.
Until they arrested him.
umwe mu bigishwa be
One of the disciples,
yitoranirije,
the one he chose himself,
ndetse amugirira icyizere cyinshi.
and he even had a lot of hope in him.
burya umuntu uzashinga amafaranga yawe
A person that you will really make a treasurer for your finances,
ni uko uba umufitiye icyizere.
you must have trust for them.
Yuda Yesu yaramwizeraga.
Jesus trusted Judah Iscariot.
igihe yatumaga abigishwa be gukora ibitangaza na Yuda yagiyemo.
Every time he would send his disciples to do miracles, even Judah was amongst them.
Yuda yirukanye amadayimoni.
Judah actually chased demons
Yuda
out of.
yasengeye abarwayi barakira.
He prayed for the sick.
ariko uwo Yuda,
But this same Judah,
uwo Yuda
the same Judah,
niwe wamugambaniye.
there is the one that betrayed him.
kuki Yesu yabikoze?
Why did Jesus do
kugira ngo
that?
umunsi umuntu w'inshuti yawe magara
So that you know that your best friend
azaguhemukira,
will betray you.
akakugambanira,
And then he will betray you.
akakwambura,
And he will steal from you.
uzamenye ngo hari aho nshobora kujya
You remember that there is somewhere
kubera ko nawe yigeze guhemukirwa.
this happened, because this also happened to him.
umugore azaguhemukira
Your wife may actually betray you.
niwegera Yesu
If you come closer to Jesus,
azakubwira ati nanjye inshuti yanjye magara niyo
He will tell you because he went through.
umugabo azaguhemukira.
Your husband may actually betray you.
Tuzihebe.
Do not be hopeless.
Dufite aho dushyira amaganya yacu.
We have where we take our anxiety.
Inshuti yawe izakwihakana.
Your friend may deny you.
Mu Rwanda ho sha iyo ibyago byabaye byinshi,
When troubles come and there are many,
Petero bageze imbere y'umutambyi mukuru.
when they went to the high priest, Peter,
wa wundi Yesu yari yarashyize muri batatu ba mbere yagendanagaho kenshi,
he was amongst those three that Jesus would move with.
umujara mureba namwe atari ko we nturi mu bigishwa b'uyu mugabo.
And the servant girl looked at him and said, "Aren't you part of these disciples of Jesus?"
Amubwira ati uyu muntu ati sinzi ibyo uvuga.
And he said, "What are you talking about?" "I don't know what you're talking about."
Mu gashyamba ntabwo twakubonyeyo.
When we were arresting Jesus, weren't you there?
Kandi yari yatemye ugutwi.
And he had actually sliced someone's ear.
Yakijwe nuko hari mu mwijima.
Maybe it's because it was in darkness.
Atereka uwo muntu muvuga simuzi.
And he was like, no, I don't know the person you're talking
undi
about.
mujana azarabatoya jewe nanakwiboneye n'amaso yanjye.
Another person came and said,
I
saw you, and they swore and they said, "I saw you there." And then Peter said, "I don't know him." Jesus turned at that moment. The good thing Peter did, he didn't go to commit suicide. He went outside and he was hurt, he cried. After Jesus rose from the dead, the angel told the women who had come at them, "You tell the disciples and Peter." It's Peter he picked out and mentioned in his name. Because Peter, he had decided already, when this, the fact that this guy is risen, I will go back to my home in Galilee. After what I did, after denying him, and then he looked at me. I shouldn't actually go back to his disciples. And then he called upon me. He said, "Peter, make sure you are also there." A person who betrayed you, it's Judah. He actually betrayed us as well. If Judah had remained, he would have said that, "Tell my disciples, including Peter and Judah Iscariot, to never miss out." The gospel would have helped so many people.
The gospel according to Judas Iscariot.
It would be the gospel according to Judah Iscariot. I really love John. John remained all the way.
He went to Nineveh alone.
He went from the time he rose up. He did so many mistakes from the beginning up to the end. John. He told Jonah that go to Nineveh. Go to Nineveh. It's like God telling you that move from here and go to Dar es Salaam. And then you go to Chinsasha. If you geographically look at the distance, it was like that, apart. When he reached the way, he actually caused trouble. The merchants on the boat threw their merchandise into the boat. And the storm could not come down. They held him by the shirt. You who's sleeping when you are in trouble, don't you have a God? Others are praying to their God for you, you are just here. He said, by the way, all this trouble is because of me. I have run away from God. He told me to go to Nineveh, I'm going to Tarsus. Let's try and see how we can save
ageze aravuga
our
ati
lives.
nimunjugunye mu nyanja nibwo iri
And
buture
he said, just throw me into the ocean.
baramuterura bamujugunya mu nyanja
They threw him in the sea.
ariko yari yateje ibihombo
But he had already caused loss to their merchandise.
aragenda ajya i Niniwe
He went to Nineveh.
ubutumwa Imana yamutumye kuvuga
The message that he had been sent to preach,
abuvuga igice
he actually preached half the message.
ariko Imana ishyiramo akaboko kayo
And then God put his hand in
abantu
that
b'i Niniwe
message.
barihana
And the people of Nineveh repented of their sins.
nyumvira uno muvugabutumwa
And that was the
we
evangelist.
nyumvira uno muvugabutumwa ngo aragenda yicara ahantu ku musozi
He went and sat on a hill.
ngo ategereje kureba ukuntu Niniwe iri burimbuke
And then he waited for Nineveh to be
wabwirije
destroyed.
umujyi wose ujya muri revival
The whole city went into a revival.
n'umwami ava ku ntebe y'ubwami yambara ibigunira
Even the king put on sackcloth.
wowe ujya ku gasozi utegereje ko Imana iri bubarinde
And then he sat waiting for destruction of the city.
amaherezo
What is the end of it?
atashye
After he went back to his home,
ubuhamya bwe bwose arabwandika
all his testimony was put into
ndamureba arimo
writing.
kubwira abandi bantu
And he was telling other people,
atumva arashamba abwire atumva mbabwire
listen to this.
iyi Mana yacu ni Imana y'imbabazi
This God of us is a God of
muza
mercy.
amarorerwa nakoze
Do you know the trouble I caused
kuva
him?
ngitangira nateje ibibazo kurinda ndangiza
From the beginning of the journey up to the end, I was causing trouble.
ubwo yaba ari nkangeze biriya byose mba narabisimbutse
All the things I would have jumped them.
nkababwira ni nagiye i Niniwe
I would have told them that I went to Nineveh
nsenga umunsi umwe nuzura umwuka
and I prayed one day and I was filled with the Spirit.
ndabwiriza Niniwe yose yambara ibigunira
And I preached and the whole city got saved.
akadawe yaraje aravuga ati reka mbibwirire ukuri
And he was like, let me tell them the truth.
buriya rero na Yuda
Even Judah,
amaze kwihana
after he repented,
yari kwandika ibaruwa cyangwa ubutumwa bwiza bwa Yuda bwari kujya bufasha abantu benshi
he could have written a gospel that would have helped so many people
kuko afite barumuna be benshi
because he had his young brothers, so many young brothers.
afite abuzukuru benshi
He has so many grandchildren.
yaraduhemukiye ariyahura
That was sad.
ariko Petero yaramwihakanye
But Peter did.
kugira ngo umunsi inshuti yawe magara
The day that your best friend,
umunsi uzagira ibibazo
the day you will have trouble,
wayitumaho ikamera nk'aho itigeze ikumenya
you send them for something and then they look like they never knew you.
niba bitarakubaho
If those things haven't happened to you,
nsabye Imana ngo ntibizakubeho
I am asking God to actually show you this.
ariko hari igihe inshuti zizakwihakana
Your best friend will deny you.
hari igihe inshuti zizakora nkaho
There is
zidakuzi
a time when your best friend will deny you. They'll betray you.
Yesu yarabisogongeye
Jesus,
kugira ngo ntuzanyura mu kibazo nk'icyo
he did that so that everyone who would pass through such a problem,
uzabona aho ujyana ibibazo byawe
he will be able to help you with that.
baramujyana
He took him.
bamucira urubanza rw'ibinyoma
They lied about the case.
icya mbere bamuciriye urubanza mu masaha ubundi batagomba guca imanza
They actually put a verdict on him in the hours that were contrary to
kuko
the hours of
bamufashe mu
the...
masaha agana mu masaha 8 y'ijoro
It was about 2 a.m. in the night.
isake zabitse nko mu masaha 9
The cock was crowing with around 3 a.m. in the morning.
urubanza rwari rwatangiye
And the court case had started.
ubundi mu mategeko y'abayuda
In the judicial court laws,
ntabwo byari byemewe guca urubanza izuba ritari ryarasa
it was not right for them to cast a verdict before the sun was.
icya kabiri urubanza rw'ibinyoma
And this case was really a forgery one.
kugeza aho nawe umutambyi mukuru yabuze icyo bamurega akabona ati tubwire wavuze ko
To the point that the high priest actually failed to get words to describe the case.
bari bagushinja ibinyoma
Have they ever accused you of all these allegations?
bakakubeshyera
And then they lie about you.
bagashaka nabo kubihamya
And then they look for witnesses to actually accuse you wrongly.
hari abo byabayeho
There are many people that has
hari
happened.
nabo bizabaho
And there are many people it will happen to.
amaganya yawe
Your anxiety,
Yesu ashobora kuyumva
Jesus can help you.
baramutwara
They took him,
baramukubita
they flogged him,
ntacyo yakoze.
He had done nothing, he was innocent.
Baramubamba,
And then they crucified him.
arapfa.
He died.
Bikubwira ngo ibintu byose tuzanyuramo muri ubu buzima,
All the things that we will go through in this world,
Yesu yarabisogongeye.
Jesus
Imibabaro
tested.
yose.
All the sorrows.
Njya mbabwira hano,
I always tell you here,
nigeze kwigisha itsinda ry'abapfakazi,
I used to teach a group of widows.
mbabwira Yesu watwikorereye intimba,
I told them how Jesus carries
mbabwira
our
Yesu ushobora
sorrows,
kuturuhura.
that God can save us.
Umumama umwe
One
arambwira
mother,
ati ko, ati pastor ujye witonda iyo wigisha ibintu byo kubabarira,
he said, you should always be careful when you're talking about things of forgiveness,
kuko uri umugabo,
because
you are a man.
you're a man.
Ntabwo uzi isoni zo kukwambika ubusa ku karubanda bakagutembereza abantu bose bakureba uri umubyeyi wabyaye.
You don't know the issue of stripping you naked and they make you walk in the crowd of people within the community.
Ndamubwira nturabizi,
I told her, you know what,
ibyo umbwira koko sinshobora kubyumva,
I can not be able to hear everything you say.
ariko uyu mwami nkubwira,
But the king I am telling you,
bamwambitse ubusa buri buri,
they stripped him naked.
bamumanika ku giti
They crucified him on the cross.
kuva saa 3 y'amanywa kugeza saa 9,
From around 9 up to around 3
abana
p.m.
bamureba,
And kids were looking at his
abamugore
nakedness.
bamureba,
Women were looking at his
abantu
nakedness.
bose bamuseka.
Every person was mocking and
Izo
laughing.
soni nge ntakumva,
That shame, I
Uyu
cannot
mwami
really
ashobora-
understand.
uyu mwami ashobora kuzumva,
The king can understand.
kandi yaramwizeye biramukiza,
And she really trusted and actually got saved.
kuko ibyo tunyuramo byose,
Because the things we go
iyo
through,
bavuze ngo yishyizeho intimba zacu,
if they say that he took all our
ni ukuvuga ngo
sorrows,
yafashe intimba zacu
if he took all our grief,
arazisogongera zose,
and he tested and tested all of them,
arazumva zose,
and he would understand all of them,
kugira ngo uzamwisunga wese ajye ashobora
so
kumutabara.
that you will not go through something he doesn't understand.
Niyo mpamvu mu Baheburayo
That's why in Hebrews
baravuga ngo
they say
dufite umutambyi mukuru,
we have a
high priest.
high priest.
Hebrews 4 wagiyeyo murongo wa 15 aravuga ngo kuko tudafite umutambyi mukuru utabasha kubabarana natwe mu ntege nke zacu, ahubwo yageragejwe uburyo bwose nkatwe keretse yuko atigeze akora icyaha. Nuko rero twegera intebe y'ubuntu tudatinya, kugira ngo tubabarirwe tubone ubuntu bwo kudutabara mu gihe gikwiriye.
Therefore, since we have a great high priest who has ascended into heaven, Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold firmly to the faith we profess. For we do not have a high priest who is unable to empathize with our weakness, but we have one who has been tempted in every way just as we are, yet he did not sin. Let us approach then God's throne of grace with confidence, so that we may reach mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need.
Yes, ngo ntabwo dufite umutambyi mukuru udashobora kubabarana natwe.
That we do not have a high priest who cannot feel our pain.
Mu yandi magambo dufite umutambyi mukuru ushobora kumva imibabaro yacu yose.
In other words, we have a high priest who can understand and feel our pain.
Wegera ukamubwira uterega mwami hari ibibazo nagize.
You can come closer to him and say, you know what, God, I got these problems.
Nabonye ko hari ikintu gikomeye cyane.
I saw that this is something very
Iyo uvugana n'umuntu wabaye mu bibazo nk'ibyo wanyuze.
If you talk to someone who's gone through what you're going through,
nahoze mbwira abantu aho nari ndimo gutanga
I was
ikiganiro.
telling people where I was talking to people today.
Wari urubyiruko nari nabemereye kumbaza ibibazo.
I asked the young people to ask me questions.
Barambwira ati umuntu ashobora ate kwemeza umuntu mukuru
How can someone convince a big person
wababaye nk'uko mwababaye?
who is hurt like you are hurt?
Ni izihe arguments wamuha
Which arguments can you convince them
ngo
with?
umwemeze ko agomba kubabarira umuntu wamwiciye?
And you really tell them that they should forgive those people that hurt them.
Nawe rero buriya
I told these young
nk'umuntu
people that
wanyuze muri ibyo bibazo,
as a person who went through these
nk'umuntu wabanye
issues,
n'intimba n'umujinya,
as a person who had the grief and all this anger,
uyu munsi nibanze kuri Yesu.
today I'm focusing on
ejo
Jesus.
kuko n'ubundi niyo ntuza tuzagarukaho, ejo nzibanda kuri twebwe.
Tomorrow I'll focus on us as human beings.
ndavuga nti ikintu cya mbere gishobora gutuma wabarira,
The thing that can cause you to forgive,
ni umubabaro uhorana iyo utababariye.
it is the pain you have when you were not hurt.
iki kintu ntabwo abantu baragisobanukirwa,
People haven't understood this part.
kuko iyo ufite abantu baguhemukiye,
If you have people that betrayed you,
wibwira yuko urwango ubanga
you think that anger you have,
ari uburenganzira ufite,
you are justified.
kandi birumvikana.
And it's understandable.
umuntu ambwiye ngo umuntu yarampemukiye sinarakara,
If someone says that I was betrayed, I may not be surprised.
navuga nubwo ntabwo yaguhemukiye,
I'm like, maybe they never really
kuko
betrayed.
umuntu waguhemukiye
Because when someone really
ntushobora
betrays,
kwibuza kurakara.
you cannot not get annoyed.
ariko dufite aho dusuka intimba zacu,
But we have somewhere we pour our grief.
dufite aho dusuka imibabaro yacu,
We have somewhere we pour our sorrows.
aho kugira ngo umubabaro ukugumemo.
Instead of having the grief within you,
Imana yatugeneye ahantu dushobora kuwusuka,
God has somewhere to pour out that grief.
ariko iyo ububitse
But if you keep that grief,
ni wowe ubabara kurutaho.
it becomes bitter and your heart.
njya mbibwira abantu ntibabyemere.
I always tell people, but they never believe it.
kera
Long time.
nzabaha ubuhamya burambuye ejo.
I will give you a full testimony tomorrow.
narwaraga igifu,
I got sick with ulcers.
narwaraga igifu,
I used to get sick with ulcers.
kandi igifu cyanjye
And that ulcers,
cyazaga mu bihe byiza.
it used to come in a good time.
iyo nabaga twakoze ibizamini
That when we are in the exam period,
biganisha ku kindi cyiciro,
leading to another level,
narwaraga igifu.
I used to get ulcers would attack me.
kubera iki?
Why?
kubera ko kuva 73
From 73,
nta byiringiro nari mfite ko turimo kwiga bizatugirira umumaro.
I didn't have hope that whatever we are studying will actually benefit us.
turangiza sogonderi
When we were finishing secondary,
nari umuhanga,
I was clever,
ariko
but
nigaga buhoro ko numvaga ntacyo bimaze,
I didn't put all my effort because I felt it was useless.
kandi ntibimbuze kubona amanota.
And it wouldn't stop me from getting good grades.
umupadiri wari directeur spirituel wanjye,
That the priest who was my spiritual father,
kuko twe twigaga mu seminari,
because we were in a seminary,
yarambwira ati ubundi wowe
he would say, but you
ubu wa kabiri mu ishuri,
are always the second.
ariko amanota ufite
But the grades you have,
saa yawe,
they are not yours.
kuko wowe
Because you,
iyo nkureba mu ishuri
if I look at you in this
ntabwo uba uhari,
school,
ntabwo uba uhari.
you're not around.
yazaga kureba ishuri nimugoroba,
He would come in the evening to look at the school. And
iyo
the
yahanaga
class.
babaga barimo gukubagana,
When people were, when there was,
iyo yahanaga abanyeshuri basakuje,
when he was punishing those that were wrongdoing,
nanjye narahanwaga,
you are he was part of the
kandi ntacyo
wrongdoing.
nakoze.
And yet he had done nothing.
kubera iki?
Why?
nabaga ndyamye nsinziriye ku ntebe,
I was sleeping on the chair.
narigaga nageza hagati,
I would study, and when I'll get somewhere,
nkumva ijwi rimbwira ngo ariko ubundi uraruhira iki?
and a voice would tell me, but why are you studying hard?
bizakumarira iki?
What will it benefit you?
umugisha nagize,
The blessing I had,
aho abandi bakoreshaga amasaha ane ngo bige ikintu,
the time many were using so many hours,
ngewe umwe n'igice yabaga ihagije.
for me
nabaga
1.5 hours was enough for revision.
ibyagoraga abandi,
Whatever was hard for others,
iby'imibare, bya fizike n'ibindi,
math, physics, chemistry,
byo nabyigiraga mu ishuri.
I would study on the blackboard.
ngo nicaraga mu ishuri,
I would sit in class
mwarimu yasobanura formule,
as he would explain.
habaza ubwonko bwanjye,
I would make sure I internalize everything.
nkiha imyitozo nk'ibiri mwarimu akiri mu ishuri,
And then he would make sure he gets everything from class.
nkaba narangije,
And then that would be enough.
azakora akazi ko gusubiramo gusa. kuko ngewe hari abantu bakubwira ngo nari umuhanga mu mibare, ngo nkaba ngo nkagorwa n'indimi. ngewe ari indimi nazitsindaga kimwe nuko natsindaga siyansi.
He actually would do well in arts and sciences, but every time he would just go through what they revised.
ariko trauma
But he had trauma.
ikambuza kwiga,
Trauma would refuse me to
nkumva
study.
ntacyo nigira,
I felt there was no need.
nkiga nageza hagati nkubika umutwe ku ntebe nkasinzira.
He would study, and in the middle, he would just, lay on the desk.
Padiri agahora ambwira ati ariko Antoine ufite ikihe kibazo,
And they would ask, Antoine, what problem do you have?
wavuze niba ufite ikibazo tukagufasha,
Why don't you speak the problem and we help you solve it?
ufite ikibazo iwanyu, ntacyo mfite,
Do you have a problem at home?
ufite ikibazo sana, ntacyo mfite,
Do you have a problem at school? No.
hari umwarimu se mufitanye ikibazo, nteka
Is
bose
there a
barangwa,
teacher you have an issue with? And he will say
ariko
no.
ikibazo cyari muri jyewe,
The issue was within his heart,
kumva nigira ubusa.
feeling that there was no use.
Kubera iki?
Why?
63 bishe data,
63, they killed my father.
73 batwirukana mu ishuri,
73, we were chased out of school.
nateranya rimwe guteranyaho kabiri nkumva bibaye gatatu, nkavuga nti
Every time I would do the
anytime
mathematics,
bazongera batwirukane nubwo
every time I would do the mathematics, I felt this was heading nowhere.
nkumva nigira ubusa,
So I decided to just give up.
nkarwara igifu,
But there was,
nkarwara igifu,
the ulcers would attack him.
njya muri university,
I went to university.
numva ibyiringiro biragarutse,
I felt the hope was coming back.
baduha promesse, baduha amasezerano,
They gave them an agreement
promise yuko abazarangiza bafite amanota menshi
that those that will get good marks,
bazabakuramo abarimu ba university.
they will take them and make them junior lecturers.
ndavuga nti iki gihugu ndakizi,
And then he said, here I am.
nimbona 70
If I get 70,
ko niyo basabaga,
that's what they were requesting for.
hari abandi nabo bashobora kuyabona,
There are others that can get the same
nkaza
marks.
ndi uwa kabiri kuri bo,
I may come when I'm second.
reka nkorere 80,
Let me work for 80%.
nshyiramo imbaraga,
I really got active.
ndwara igifu,
I worked hard and I fought my ulcers.
kuko nashyiragamo imbaraga,
Because I was putting in my
kuko uwo
all.
mwanya narawushakaga,
Because I wanted that position.
ariko hirya hakaba irindi jwi,
And then on the side there was another voice.
wa mutima ukomeretse
That broken heart.
umbwira ngo niyo wabona aya manota
Even if you get all these marks,
ntibazabiguha.
they will never give you that.
mbona 85,
I got 85%
akazi barakamba,
and they gave me the job.
umwaka urangiye
After the end of year,
barandinganiza,
and then they caused injustice.
bamvana muri university,
They removed me from
njya
the
kwigisha muri
university,
tronkomi,
and they took me to O level,
igifu kiragaruka,
and then the ulcers came back.
ariko icyo gihe ngiyeyo
But that time when I'd gone
nyuma
there,
y'amezi 6
after 6 months,
mpura na Yesu.
I met Jesus.
umunsi nakiriye Yesu,
The time I received Jesus,
umunsi nababariye abampemukiye muri iyo nzira yose,
the time I forgave all people who hurt me all the way,
intimba zanjye
all my grief,
zajyanye n'igifu,
they went with the
igifu
ulcers.
cyanjye
That ulcers,
cyajyanye n'intimba zanjye.
it went with all the grief.
uno munsi
Today,
niyo wafata urusenda
even if you get paper
ugakoramo isosi
and you make sauce out of the paper,
ukanzanira ubugari,
and you bring posho,
wenda nagira ikibazo cyo kubabirwa mu kanwa,
maybe I can be hurt in the mouth,
ariko nta kibazo cy'igifu.
but nothing it can cause to my tummy.
hari imiti mperutse gufata,
There's medication I got recently,
none umuganga arambwira ati rero iyi miti
and the doctor said that this type of
iyo
medicine,
uyinywa
if you are taking this,
igomba guherekezwa n'imiti ivura igifu.
it has to be used with medicine for ulcers.
Ndamubwira muganga,
I was like,
igifu cyanjye
doctor, my
cyabaye
stomach,
iminize.
my stomach.
ati pastor, ati va muri ibyo bintu by'amashyengo y'abarokore, ati fata imiti.
He told me that get out of the things of born agains, please come and take this medicine.
ko ni imiti nagomba gufata igihe kirekire.
I got medicine I'm supposed to take for a very long time.
ubwa mbere iy'igifu nayo ndayitwara,
Even that one for my ulcers was taken,
ariko sinayinywa,
but I didn't take it.
ahubwo nongera urusenda mu biryo.
But then I added pepper in the food.
noneho usubiye gufata iyindi miti,
But now I take other medicine.
ndabona ni doctor,
He said, doctor,
ntiwongere kwandika imiti y'igifu,
you were the one who writes the ulcers meds.
ntiwongere kwandika imiti y'igifu.
Don't write any more meds for ulcers.
igifu cyanjye narakivuye,
My stomach is okay.
ndimo ndarya
I am okay, I'm eating well.
nongere kantite y'urusenda.
You show me, I even put in paper.
Maze pastor urarwaye cyangwa uri muzima?
He's like, are you sick or you're okay?
Ibyo nakubwiye ni ukuri.
What I'm telling you is
Igihe biriya miti
the other medicine.
nganira nayo.
I converse with it.
Narangiza nkaganira n'igifu cyanjye.
And then after I also talk to my tummy.
Nakubwira numva rero umuti.
And then I tell the medicine that you medicine.
Unyure mu gifu.
Come to my tummy.
Ntabwo uri umuti w'igifu.
You're not medicine for my tummy.
Ugomba kujya ugomba kujya.
You have to go where you're supposed to go.
Ibyo bita ngo ugitere efeso gonderi.
Those things that you say you're going to cause issues in my stomach.
Baguhaye butamu.
They gave you where to go.
Hongereho na ngenda.
Don't even try.
Abwira igifu.
I will tell the medicine.
Kandi we igifu.
I tell you tummy.
Uyakire na yombi.
Receive this medicine with 2 hands.
Ibyo kureyajisa.
Those things of doing other things. Forget about it.
Mu bishuti.
And then we were friends.
Igifu kirumvira.
The tummy heard that they should be friends.
Ariko iyo utamenyere kuvugana n'imiti.
If you're not used to talking to medicine,
umenyere kuvugana n'igifu.
You're not used to talking to your tummy.
Ntuzanyigane.
Never do that.
Yeje nabibwiriraga.
The reason I was telling you this.
Nta gifu ndwara.
I don't have ulcers.
Cyagwa cyajyamwe n'iki?
What took it?
Yesu yaragitwaye.
Jesus took the ulcers.
Kuko buriya ejo tuzabicengera neza.
Because we will always attack these things.
Uyu munsi twize udutwaza umutima ukomeretse.
We have learned how to treat ourselves when we are hurt.
Ariko ejo tuzinjira mu mutima ukomeretse mu nguni zayo no mu ndani zawo.
Tomorrow we shall enter into a broken heart on the sides and from the ground.
Kansoreze kuri iki ngiki. Uriya muri Petero batubwira ngo ni mumwikoreze intimba zanyu.
Peter is saying that let's cast upon him our
mumwikoreze amaganya yanyu.
Let's give him all our sorrows.
Mundiri jambo mumwikoreze amaganya yanyu.
Cast upon him your grief or your burdens.
Ariko urabitekereza ubundi umuntu mukuru umuyobozi mukuru tumutwaza ibikapu.
A big person, a person in a position of authority, we help them with their luggage.
Haraho tujya bakadutwaza na Bibiliya.
There is even a place we go to and they take our Bibles away.
Uretse ko giye ntajya mbyemera.
Only that I don't agree to that.
Umwami dufite rero we.
The king we have.
Adutwaza poberi.
He's the one who carries our dustbin.
Arazavuga ati ibi bintu byose warutwaye bikwanduza bikubabaza.
He says that all this rubbish that is dirtying you.
Afite umufuka wa poberi.
I have a garbage bag.
Ati shyira hano muri poberi.
Put in this garbage bag.
Akanyura hirya kwa Nicholas ati shyira muri poberi.
And then he passes at Nicholas' side and say, put in the...
Ataba kwa Maharariyeri nta poberi.
And then he said from Maharariyeri's side, don't you have any dust?
Imodoka zitwari imyanda zinyura ku
you know
zikomanga ku bipangu.
These trucks that take trash that knock on the gates.
Icyo nicyo Yesu akora.
That's what Jesus does.
Umwami utwara poberi zacu.
He always takes our dustbins.
Ngo yishyizeho intimba zacu.
He put all the grief upon.
None wamaze kuzogegera bati nimunyikoreze imitwaro yanyu yose.
He even said, bring all your burdens to me.
Kuko nita kuri mwe.
That's how he.
Nagira ngo mbabwire Yesu.
I wanted to tell you today.
Nicyo nakoze uyu munsi.
What I did today.
Ariko ejo nzababwira umutima ukomeretse.
Tomorrow I'll talk about a broken
n'inzira yo kuwukira. N'inzira yo kuwukira.
And the way to actually heal from a broken heart.
Tuzaririmba.
We shall sing.
Tuzasenga.
We shall pray.
Ndabona sinzi aho Tasiye yagiye.
Where is Tasiye?
Ejo cyangwa reka ntume Maharariyeri.
Let me send Maharariyeri.
Ejo ntimuzankora ibyo mumaze iminsi munkora.
Tomorrow don't do the things you've been doing over the past few days.
Musunike ibintu byose muduhe umwanya byigeze saa moya.
Change everything to have the epitome of 7 o'clock.
No, that's not what I'm saying. They give us the pulpit at 7. No, I want it down at 6:30.
We should be able to give him time earlier. Say 6:30 or before
6:30.
At 6:30.
Kuko ejo tuzajya muri salle dope.
Tomorrow we shall have a lot to do to deal with.
Tuzabaga imitima.
Tomorrow we shall be dealing with
ejo
hearts.
tuzaganira n'imitima ikomeretse,
Tomorrow we shall deal with broken hearts.
tuzasenga,
We shall pray.
tuzaririmba
We shall sing
ejo.
tomorrow.
Ariko mumenye ngo ibyo byose bishoboka
Know that all the things are possible
kuko hari umwami ugenda
because there is a king that
anyura kuri buri
rules,
mutima.
and he can look into your hearts.
N'uno mugoroba
Even today,
arimo arakomanga
he is knocking on your heart.
mu byahishuwe
In the
Revelation,
Revelations.
aravuga ngo dore mpagaze ku rugi ndakomanga,
he said that, behold, I'm standing at the door and I'm knocking.
umuntu nakingura ndinjira.
Whoever opens,
Murabyumva? Akagenda ku rugi agakomanga, ataba kwa Mike,
he goes to the doors and
nta puberi,
bring the dustbin.
abo kwa Tasiye
People from Tassier's home,
nta nimba n'imibabaro,
don't you have any dustbins?
puberi irahise.
Bring all the trash.
Dufite umwami utwikorera.
We have a king who carries our trash.
Ejo rero
Tomorrow
tuzavidura,
we shall be able
ariko uyu
to
mugoroba
remove
niba
all
wumvise
that
umwuka
trash.
akubwira
He's telling you
ngo bumwikorejeho dukeya,
that get those little,
bumuviduriyeho
bring
dukeya,
that trash and let him carry it for
tugiye
you.
gusenga.
We'll pray.
Amen. Niba wumvise umwuka akubwira
If the Spirit
ngo
is,
gira ibyo uhereza Yesu,
if the Spirit is telling you,
ubitaha.
have some things to give to Christ.
Ko burya Satani
Because Satan,
wakora nka konvoyeri wa bisi.
he works like a conductor.
Hari igihe uba ufite umuzigo
When you have a luggage,
wasohoka ukawibagirwa.
and once you get out of the bus, sometimes you forget it.
Hariho na bisi zimwe na zimwe ndetse
There are even those buses,
handitse ngo passager,
it's written on
ngo
passenger.
ntiwibagirwe umuzigo wawe.
Don't forget your luggage.
Na Satani akora atyo.
Even Satan does that.
Ukaza mu rusengero
Then you come to church,
tukigisha nk'uko,
we teach like we are teaching,
Satani akakubwira ati witonde,
and then Satan is like, by the way,
witonde,
be careful.
uyu muzigo wawe
This luggage of yours,
ntabwo ugomba kuwurekura,
you cannot let it go.
waraguhenze,
It was very costly.
warakugoye,
It was very troublesome.
ntuwurekure.
Keep it.
Ariko Yesu akakubwira ngo ariko
And Jesus tells you,
wazanye uwo muzigo wawe nkawugutwaza,
bring that luggage, bring that burden. Let me help you with it.
maze ibindushya byose ndabimukorera, nta wundi utari Yesu, wabyihanganira n'ukwamaganya yanjye, nyakurwaho nawe, nduhukira muri we, amahoro ye mwami, icyampa akampineza ye, n'imbabazi n'ubugwaneza, agenda ndamwegera njya nkwari, nushenenebutse, ndagenda mpawe intege, sindeshereje. Iyo ni remix y'indirimbo ye, ni kuri ya nyiririmba iyo ndimo gusenga.
When I'm praying, I sing this song.
Reka dusenge Imana.
Let us pray.
Ariko niba wicayemo hano uyu mugoroba
But if you're seated here today
kumva hari ikintu umwuka yakubwiye,
and you hear there is something the Spirit is telling
ukeneye
you,
kwereka Yesu,
that you need to accept Jesus,
wishyizeho intimba zacu,
who took our grief,
wishyizeho imibabaro yacu,
who took our sorrows,
mubwire.
tell him.
turagushimye mwami wacu Yesu Kristo.
We thank you, Lord Jesus.
Wari ubizi neza yuko iyi si izadukomeretsa.
You knew very well that this world would hurt us.
Wari ubizi neza yuko tuzavukira mu bukene, ubukene bukaturya.
You knew very well that we'll be born in a
Wari
poor
uzi neza
world.
yuko tuzavukira mu isi y'abantu bazaduhemukira.
You knew very well that we'll be born in a world where they betray
Wari
us.
ubizi neza ko tuzaba mu isi y'abantu bakatwanga.
You knew very well that we'll be born in this world where they hurt us.
Wari ubizi neza ko tuzaba mu isi abantu bakatwihakana.
You knew very well that we'll be in this world where they deny us.
Imibabaro yacu yose,
All our pain,
intimba zacu zose,
all our grief,
uraza byose urabisogongera
you tasted all
kugira ngo
of it,
ukwizeye wese ashobore kubona aho atabarirwa.
so that whoever believes you
None
will
Mwami
have where
Yesu,
to run to.
ureba abantu bose bicaye hano imbere
Look
yacu,
at all your children who are sitting.
urambure cya kiganza washyize ku musaraba,
Just stretch out your hand that
cya
you took on
kiganza
the cross.
cyakomeretse ku bwacu,
That palm that was
ufate kuri buri
cut for us.
mutima,
Touch on their hearts.
uruhure buri muntu,
May you relieve them,
umwambike
Lord.
imbaraga nshya,
Give them new strength.
ukuboko kwawe gukora imirimo,
May your hand do mighty
imbaraga zawe
works.
zikora
May
ibitangaza,
your strength do miracles.
umwuka wera atuguranire
May the Holy Spirit exchange
ibyo
that.
tucigamatiye bitari byiza,
All the good things, Lord Father.
ubidusimburire.
May you replace
Umutima washkotaguritse,
all the heart that has
umutima
been destroyed.
w'ubushwange,
Every heart that has been
usimbuze
destroyed.
umutima mushya.
May you replace it with a new
Imbaraga zawe
heart.
zikorere muri twe,
May your power work
ubwoko bwawe
within us.
bunezerwe
For
mu izina rya mwami wacu
in
Yesu Kristo.
Jesus' mighty name.
Amen.
Amen.
Imana ibahe umugisha.